What is up, guys? It's Quicksilver here, and man, I am psyched today. Today I get to kind of do a show and tell on the wood farm over there. So I guess before I do anything else, let's go ahead and get to that. And then I've got a little quick build, or hopefully it's going to be a quick build that I'm going to do with you guys afterwards. Thought long and hard on this thing, and I really think I'm pleased with how it has turned out. So let's go ahead and get a look at it really fast here. Voila! There it is underneath the Iron Golem farm, at least what you can see of it. Like I said when I was working on this thing in the last video, if you didn't see it, it's worth checking it out to see how I made this thing. That is what we have. I wanted to do something kind of cool, make this thing look a little standoutish from the other things that I've built here, and I think I've completely done that. I'm really pleased with how this thing looks. It's got a massive scale to it. Kept kind of with the Asian theme that I had working with the I guess the gates over here to the canal. Let's see if we can get over here. But I didn't want to keep quite as flat of a roof there as I had mentioned before. So this thing is a little peaked. Can't really see it from here. Let's see if we can get some height here. I'll try and do the quick way. Oh man. Well, there we go. There's our little peaked roof. You can see it from here. God, I'm sorry guys, let me take care of these guys. I don't know how many of them are here, but obviously the slime farm's still working. Good lord. Alright. Sorry. I should probably just ignore these guys so that you guys don't have to watch me do this. But they're getting on my nerves and I need to get rid of them. So there we go. Yeah, as you can tell, that slime farm is definitely working. So only 48 slime balls out of that, which means there are probably close to 50 or 60 of them. I know they don't always drop the slime balls. But yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and get a look at this thing on the inside. Right now, I don't really have a very sophisticated entry. I've just got some fence gates thrown in there, and that is actually what we're going to do today. Is I'm going to do a, really it's a 3x3 piston door, but I'm only going to do the top, the side two and the bottom. So we're not going to do the extra pistons up on the top and then the extra one here, because I don't really have a ceiling properly here anyway to do that with. And I didn't want to mess with the design of this thing because I really like kind of how that thing looks and how we've got some depth to that entry. So rather than screw with that, you'll see what I've got working here. Well, first of all, let's get in here and I'll give you guys a little quick tour of the place. Alright, so inside here, this is the area where we will plant our trees when we want to make more wood. So it's pretty basic. Our chests haven't really changed as far as where we've got some trees. As you can tell, I have been using this thing, so it is definitely working. Chopped out about half of the, maybe not quite half of the trees that are here. And I threw a chest down here, and interestingly enough, I didn't realize this, but I guess leaf blocks don't count as a full block, so you can have a chest underneath them. And yeah, you can still open it and access it, so there's a ton of wood. That's, like I said, not even the full set of wood out of there gives us that much. Built-in little floor here that obviously I've lit so that we don't get anything spawning in here when there is no wood in here. Unfortunately, the ceiling lighting doesn't actually light this area up down here, so I did have to put them up top as well as down below. Why did I have to put them up top, you may ask? Well, because when I actually fill this thing up with wood, then there's no light in here at all, so I had to throw the lighting in up here. Now the nice thing is those lights are close enough to the surface of the topmost logs that we do keep those lit enough that we don't get any mobs spawning up there. So that is that. Then I made this other little pass through over to here, which just have a couple of chests for building materials. These will ultimately come out of here. Back this way, just got a little bit of a little hallway, and then we've got access back here to the redstone for the wood farm from the back. And then I can actually get through to the same area right here, which is our access to the side and the underbelly, I guess, of this thing. So if we need to mess with any of it, we can mess with that. Incidentally, when I was building this thing, I did have this a lot closer, and that caused some problems for me, because when I had things too close, I think I was getting some of the redstone was powering some of the other blocks. It was causing some things to short circuit, and when I would try and actually use the farm, when the bud switch would detect, this block would get stuck out here and it wouldn't close things up, and it was ugly. So anyway, if you are doing that, or you're trying to build something around here and you do have that happen, if you come down here and you pop this redstone block out, it'll reset the whole system. Then you can just throw the block back in there and everything should be good to go. Other than that, actually, I will show you here this this other door that we had here. Initially, I had this staircase over one, and that's where I started getting the cross wiring problems because it was touching the side of this thing. So I did have to move it over one, so this hallway actually has access to the staircase to go up as well. I decided I was, instead of wiring access to the bone meal chest down, I would just throw a staircase up here and make it easier, because I found that I wanted to be able to get on top of this thing anyway. So I've gone ahead and I've done that. I can get on top of everything where the leaves pop up. Sometimes I'll get saplings up here. The holes that were in here, I just went ahead and threw fences on them, so I can't fall in anywhere in here that I can't get out of, because these were areas where you could easily get trapped. Then I wanted also to have access to the top of the logs, again, just in case I had any saplings that kind of went flying out through here when the leaves got crushed, which does happen. So I went ahead and I framed it out with wood just so it's easy to see, and we can drop down here on top of the logs and pick up any saplings that we need, etc., etc. So that is that. Anything that I throw in here, which really should just be bone meal, will get fed into the bone meal, into the dispenser that dispenses our bone meal. I've been busy with that. I've been using the, I haven't really been using the skeleton farm, but I've been converting the skeleton farm. So the dispenser here, I don't know if I can target that thing or not, probably not from there. Can I get it from here? Nope, I can't. That's that hopper on this side. Anyway, the dispenser is completely filled with bone meal, as are these hoppers all the way leading here. This chest is full of bone meal. The hopper above it is full of bone meal, and I think this chest here is mostly full. But so we've got bone meal for days in this thing, guys. We've got a ridiculous amount, so I don't think I'm going to have any problem. I don't think I'm going to have any problem spawning any trees that I want to grow here, so I think we're in pretty good shape there. So the only other thing that I had to take note of here before we get to the build portion of this, you may notice that the entryway here is a little bulkier. It's actually a little bulkier than I wanted it to be, but that is so that we can hide all our redstone that is going to make the doors work here. You'll see it's going to be kind of a funky, cool door. Piston door, I guess, is what we're working with here. The other thing that I don't like about it is I had this purple stuff working all the way around here. Oh man, you better be, yeah, okay. He's just a glitchy villager. We're not going to worry about him. I had the same treatment right here with the purple here all the way around. Actually, the back side of this thing I didn't do anything fancy with. I just did that. Made it a little not a little fancy, just made it a little simple. But we do have that that kind of cool looking back, but I didn't want to continue to do this all the way around the back. It just seemed wasteful, and it was a pain in the ass, and I was really getting tired of building it, and I didn't want to make any more dispensers, so blah blah blah. Here we go. Back on task. The purple stuff, as you notice, is the way that I have done all these things with just the purple wool, but I did need to hide. There's going to be some pistons and redstone back here that I needed to make sure we couldn't see, so I just threw in solid blocks here and then just made my steps work here instead of the way, well, actually I guess kind of left them the way they are there. I just threw in solid blocks below it. That way we can't see through there like we can here to what's behind it, so we should be able to hide our redstone all pretty well. The only other thing with the tour that I didn't really show you was back here. I did throw in, this is actually black glass in my texture pack. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like putting on a pair of sunglasses and looking around. I really kind of like it. You can see out there, but it's pretty dim comparatively, so I dig that. But the only other thing, and that's why I didn't show you here yet, is I made this little door originally just to have access down here to this bit, because I had some saplings that were coming in here. In the last video we fixed that by throwing this hopper in here to catch them, and it seemed to be working pretty well. I've not found any saplings down here yet. But then I went ahead, I dug, this is the floor actually, these are the logs that we were that I can chop out. And so this is the actual floor, so I dug underneath all that wood so I could lay the floor in, and I just did it as a ceiling. Kind of kept this cobblestone wood kind of decorative stuff here. I may actually, I think I can throw some wood in here without causing anything weird, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. And then this is my most recent addition right here, as I dug these little flight of steps down here to another little basement, and this is actually our workspace for the day. This is where we're going to build our, I guess we're going to need a double piston extender that's going to work on this piece of wood. It's going to have a retractor that's going to pull, when we extend the one block up, it'll put, when we pull them back down rather, it'll pull one block down. Our piston extender will swipe over and yank that one out of the way, and then we'll pop back up and we'll pull the second one down so that we have that all flat. So we have a considerable amount of work ahead of us. I'm kind of basing this off of Mumbo Jumbo's 3x3 piston door that he's got. I did test it in my contraption world and it does work. So let's go over there and take a look really quick, and I'll show you what we're going to be building today. Alright guys, so here's the kind of messy world, as you know, my contraption world. Did a little bit of rebuilding of my entryway, at least partially. Didn't want to build everything up in here because it would be a real pain in the butt. But as you can see, what we're going to add in is we'll have a button here so that we can push that and actually have our doorway in there. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to hit that again and get a quick look at it so you can see how it works. So that's what it's going to do for us. So when we want to, so if we were to approach this from our base, we would see that. We'd come running down. Okay, we want to get in. We hit the door. And then I've got it wired up so we have some pressure plates in here. And when we hit those, we close the door behind us. So that is our plan. Might have to do a little fiddle farting around with it. I've used red wool just to kind of indicate where I was going to be building. So obviously we will keep these. I'll probably use these guys, the chiseled stone bricks or whatever is what we'll have there. So we'll have that on either side of this lighter wood color, and then our ground, the floor will still be the 3 wood blocks wide. So what's happening actually is these blocks are coming in from the side, these blocks are coming in from this side, and then these blocks are both coming up from below. So that's how that thing is working. Then our redstone is kind of crazy. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense looking at it right now, but it's a little kooky under here, but not too horrible. It's kind of modularly built. So I've got all this space dug out. It might be something that we could make a little more compact, but I'm just not going to worry about it. I have the room for it, so I wasn't really too concerned with trying to make the design any smaller. The work that Mumbo's done, which is really the confusing part of this, is just unbelievable. He's really done a great job at getting this design really compact, so hats off again to him. I figured he was the father of the wood farm design to begin with, so I would go ahead and continue to honor him by doing this, or by using his design rather, at least part of his design, to build the 3x3, only we're just a 3x2 piston door. So that is what we are going to do. I don't even know if I should try and explain this to you, but suffice it to say the cyan wool that I've got down here is all related to his design for the piston door. I did have to rewire. The way that he wires this thing up is he wires everything off of this side, and he carries the redstone signals up and over so that he can power this side and this side all at once. So he really gets kind of a cool, I guess it's like a spiral kind of an effect when this thing opens and closes. Because of the way that, because I don't have a top on this thing, I did have to do a little messing around with his design. So where he pulls his power up, I went ahead and I built this part right here, where we actually take the power over, then down underneath the magenta wool, which I'll explain in a minute, over to this side, and then back up, really in a mirror to the design of what he did over on this side. So I know that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Hopefully it will make more sense for you when I'm actually building this thing in our world. But then let me go ahead and explain what the magenta wool line is. That is actually what I use for our opening mechanism. And for the opening mechanism, when he is building this in his tutorial, he just throws a lever on this. Obviously that's just to get power into this block, and the power feeding into that block is how we control whether the door is opened or closed. Because I wanted to use a button system and a pressure plate system on the inside of the farm, I needed to have a T flip-flop. And as you guys, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm a fan of the old school T flip-flop, so I've gone ahead and I've built one here. So in essence, I will explain how this one works. When the button signal comes in here, we're pulling that signal down here onto this block right here, where it feeds then into this, which is our T flip-flop. We briefly power these two torches, which then power the pistons, so they change state. If this block is over top of this redstone torch, then we get our signal going into the block to open the door. If it's over on this side, then there is no signal going in and it closes the door. So that is how we get in from the outside. Then from the inside, underneath these 3 blocks where I have the pressure plates, I've got our red wool and then our redstone here, and that picks up the signal actually from these pressure plates. sends it down here into these two. I had to use two repeaters here so that we wouldn't cross wire with the signal that we get to open the piston, the 3x2 piston door. So I use these two repeaters here. I throw it into this one, which I probably don't really need, but I don't know. I think I might have thrown that one in beforehand. Let's find out. We can always, if I'm wrong, we can always replace this guy, right? But I'm going to throw that signal into there. Then it carries it around and then into this signal, right into this repeater here, which feeds power into this block, which then turns this redstone torch either on or off, just like when we push the button up here, which then sends our same signal into our T flip-flop. So it doesn't matter which side we hit this thing on. When we hit it, it's going to send us the signal that we need there, and as you can see, I did just remove one redstone repeater out of there, which is very nice. So I will keep that out of there. So then when we want to go out, we'll run over that thing again and then run in here. Concerns that I have and things that I may need to mess with. I'm not sure. I'm a big fan of the placement of these guys, and if I don't like them, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it, other than maybe I'll throw a button somewhere in here, because I like the idea of running in here and stepping over this and stepping on those things to close the door behind us so that it's never open. However, what I don't like is the fact that they're kind of in the middle of the hallway here. So if we come in here to plant some trees, just pretend there's the imaginary tree builder here, and then we want to run down, for whatever reason, down a redstone hallway here, or we want to run down this side to harvest our trees, I think it's going to be pretty easy to bump into these on accident. So I may look into if there's a better way to handle it. I think moving these back is going to cause, yeah, this redstone is going to feed into that. So if that's a problem, I'm not really sure the best way I can deal with that other than creating another button type scenario like this one. So anyway, I will deal with that when we're actually doing the build. Wish me luck, guys. It's going to be kind of a bumpy ride. I'm maybe doing a bunch of back and forth, some weird cuts in this one. If there are, I apologize in advance, but as you can see, this thing's pretty complicated, and trying to build it from memory is really going to be a beast. So I will do my best for you, though, and away we go. Alright guys, in the interest of time, unfortunately I'm going to build most of this off camera, but I will show you the things that I deviate from Mumbo Jumbo's tutorial, and I will provide a link to his tutorial in the description below, so please check it out. But in a nutshell, this is what I've gotten built so far. It's a little more digestible to look at it like this than it was when we looked at it in my contraption world. Basically though, this is the block where my power source is going to come in. This is our double piston extender that's going to push this block up, and then there's actually another piston right here that's going to push this block over, so we can then push that one up, and that's where we're going to get our two center blocks. Above that I have two more pistons here that are going to push our blocks over from here. So this is all his basic stuff that he does in his 3x3 piston door. Again, I've just only placed in these two pistons here, so that gives us half the door. We just got to wire up this side of it now, and again, in his tutorial he's got a third block that pops out here, and then another one pops in from down here, and he has a nice encasement around the whole thing. Since we don't have any of that, we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how we're going to power this thing up, so that instead of taking the power over the door, we're going to go underneath it. So let me go down here, and I'm going to unpower that thing really quick. And unfortunately, can't really see it in action, but you get the idea. We've already looked at it once in the contraption world. So let me get this thing closed up again here, just to make sure we don't have any friends come wandering in to say hi to us. And then we'll talk about how we're going to take this power over. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to continue building with the purple wool just because it's easier to see it. I'm going to build right on the edge of that redstone dust there. Then I'm going to pop this block in here, and then I think I went ahead and took that here. So I'm going to pull the signal out of that block with a redstone repeater. I'm not going to set that to any ticks or anything. Pop that in here, pop that down here, and God, I feel like that's a little too far over, but we're just going to go with it anyway, right? Yeah, because if I pull this over here, that's going to be a bigger problem. So then I'm going to take this down, and the reason I'm taking this down is because we need to have our pressure plates right up here, or maybe it's right here, I forget where, so that we can get across here. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure we've got plenty of room there. Then I've already placed in this block here. Let me actually hop back up top side so I can show you really fast what I'm gonna power up. I have gone ahead, these are the pistons on this side, left this block here, and then this purple block right here, this is what we're going to power up. Well, by sending power into this top thing here, we're actually sending our power into this piston, but we're also powering this block. So we're going to power both pistons, one by direct redstone power, one by indirect redstone power from this block, and that's going to shove this side of the wall over and close our door completely. So now all we've got to do is take this power, and we've got to get it to right underneath here, and in order to shut that thing on and off, I'm going to go ahead, we're probably going to have some problems. I'm going to go ahead and knock those fence posts out of there so that we don't have any issues there. And I'll be right back. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I've just knocked out those fence posts, so now what we're going to do, because I have a feeling when I do this, we're going to actually power those blocks up. Yep, there we go. So now, if we can send power into that block, which is what we are going to do, then we can turn that sucker off. So let's go ahead. I think we have enough juice to bring this all the way over. Oops. If I can just keep the redstone on there. Yep, there we go. So that should give us the door completely open right now, and we should be able to control it via our lever. Yeah, so here we are completely open. Now if I pop our lever, we should completely close everything now. Certainly sounded promising, right? Let's get up here and make sure. And there you have it. So we are closed up top here. So now all that's really left is we want to pretty this up a little bit so that we don't have to look at all this ugliness, because that's just not a good thing. And I think, yeah, I'll probably just leave this. Once I'm done, I'll get this out of here, and I might actually close that off. I forgot that's one block further over than it is on this side, just because of the way we have to carry our power up into those pistons. But yeah, that certainly closes us off. And let's make sure that when I hit this lever again, it opens everything up, but it should. And I need to eat something very quickly here too, in here. But that should be, yep, so there we are, completely open. Alright, so now the only thing that I have left to do is I gotta get my T flip-flops in here so that we can push the button outside and open the door, and then so that we can run over the pressure plates on the inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna wire those suckers up off camera, and I'll show you what we have. Alright guys, so sorry, I apologize. This video has gotten a little bit longer than I had intended it to be. Sounds like a repeating record for me, but anyway, here we are. It is all finished here, and it works beautifully. So we've got the button here. Let's actually make that go away to open the door if indeed it were closed. Actually, let's just go ahead and pretend that it is closed. We've been responsible wood owners, so there we go. There's our doorway. Can't get in there. The only thing we need to be remotely worried about are spiders, and I'm not really too worried about spiders in any capacity. I may throw some, I don't know, maybe some metal fence posts here or whatever. Not metal fence posts, these iron bars or whatever. But anyway, neither here nor there. We hit the button, we open up, we come in here to use the farm, and it closes behind us. This is the only part I don't like, is there's no way for me to get out of the wood chamber here around to actually chop out wood. Sort of, I guess I could just jump over it like that, but I don't like that. So I may have to monkey with this a little more. I can't bring this any closer, or else I will be cross wiring. But then when I want to leave, it's easy enough just to hit that. We leave and we hit the button to close it up behind us. So that is the general idea. I'll go ahead, I'll show you what we've got down below. Easy enough to close it behind us when we do that. So down below, the only thing that I did any differently, again, I built in my T flip-flop. I actually built it one block lower. I actually built this thing into the floor so that I wouldn't have to tear out any of the terraforming that I had done up above here. So again, that's what this is here. This is our button signal. We're picking it up from above. There's a, I don't know if you can see it, but right there there's a dot of redstone dust, which turns this torch off, which then turns this power off, which gives us our T flip-flop toggle pulse, which then makes the block down here toggle over and send power into that block to open the door or close the door depending on its current state. So that's how the button outside works. The pressure plates back here are actually right up here on top of that. This is where I say if I move them one block closer to here, then my redstone dust that I have right here would cross wire with this. So I don't think I can actually bring that any closer. But we pick up the pulse from the pressure plates when we walk over them right here. We send them down here. We run them around this signal. I needed to put a repeater in here just so I could carry the signal strength forward. into this repeater, which then powers this block, powers this redstone dust, which then powers this same torch, or briefly, which is the same torch that we power via the button up above, and then our T flip-flop will toggle again there. So it doesn't matter whether we're hitting the button or we're hitting the pressure plates, we are still toggling the same T flip-flop, which means we are either opening or closing this door. The only thing I'm not really pleased with is I have to look at this one little redstone torch, but honestly the payoff for that is worth it. I think we've got a decent little system. It's pretty easy to maneuver through here, and I can feel pretty safe now when I'm in here working away on the wood farm that I'm not going to get any nasty surprises from any visitors. So there you go, guys. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to call this a video, albeit a rather long video. If you liked what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. If you really liked what you saw, go ahead and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time, where I think we may actually build a automatic charcoal factory in there, and at that point I think our wood farm will be done. So that, I think, is the plan. I'm gonna go kill some slimes, and I will catch you guys next time.